Hi folks, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to look at the so-called glow proof, the 24-hour moon that was filmed at the South Pole. So it's a time lapse. We're going to put it to the test and we're going to see if there are any issues, and if we can prove that there are, then there's a problem, right? And I'm going to demonstrate to you that it's a lie. So in English, there's a saying, fake it until you make it. So the concept suggests that by acting confident, optimistic, and competent, you can eventually achieve those qualities and reach your goals, right? But in simple English, it just means that if you want to crown yourself as king, if you feed people bananas enough, they will trust you and trust your bullshit. Then you can crown yourself as king, right? Because it's based on a lie. It's based on deception. So how can it be legit? It can't be legit if it's based on deception. So the heliocentric model is part of the dumbass plan, right? And we're going to see right at the end why the heliocentric model is so important for these individuals. So before we have a look at that video footage and we discuss it, some people say, well, why would they lie? Look, that's not the question. The question you should be asking yourself is, would organizations or authorities or people who honestly care about you and love you lie to you? The answer is no. So when you ask the question, why would they lie? That's based on the assumption that these people care about you, when the simple reality is they do not give a rat's ass about you. They don't care about you. Once you understand that people who love you and care for you will not lie to you or mislead you. Their affection and their love for you would prevent them from doing that. It's as simple as that. So, look, we all got to go through the education system, right? There's some people, they walk into the classroom as a human and they leave swinging from trees. But there are other people, like myself and many flat earthers, understand the reality that we are made in God's image and we remain in His image. We know where we live. We know that the earth is not moving, it's fixed, and that it's flat, and that the sun and moon are orbiting above our heads, because that's what the evidence demonstrates clearly. So when I look at the footage that's provided, the 24-hour moon at the South Pole, and it clearly demonstrates that it's a fraud. So, along the way, we're going to meet people like this. Here's a young guy, he's got educated, he's got bragging rights. I want to demonstrate to you that he has zero creative thinking ability to understand what he's seeing, and how this inability is going to affect his life later on. So, this is what he has to say. Let's listen to him.
What is your understanding as to how a 24-hour moon would be possible in Antarctica on a flat Earth?
Yeah, has anyone ever tried to debunk the 24-hour moon? I've not, as he just said, I've not really heard it mentioned. I know they put the video out of the 24-hour moon, but I don't think any flat earth. Oh, look at the sun changing shape, but no one's ever mentioned the moon.
Okay, well, we have mentioned it. We're going to clearly show to you that what they're saying to you and the evidence they're providing is a lie, without a doubt. Now, the point is, look, why does he expect other people to debunk it? If he just thinks about it and uses common sense, he'll be able to debunk it himself. Problem is, he's afraid. So, let's listen to Will Duffy. Right? He has a history of using deceit and openly flaunting it and saying it's not a problem. So let's watch the video footage, and then we're going to ask a couple of questions and see where the problems arise. So here's Will Duffy, right? Understand that he's a dishonest snake, right?
The
Let's
moon
listen
can
to what
stay
he's got to
above the
say and look at his
horizon for up
evidence.
to 2 weeks at a time in Antarctica. Anthony Powell, who is best known for his award-winning documentary Antarctica: A Year on Ice, has captured multiple time lapses of the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And I am extremely excited to release to the public for the very first time Anthony Powell's time lapse of the 24-hour moon in Antarctica, which he captured during the Antarctic winter at Scott Base.
Right, so here's the footage. So I'm going to speed it up a bit. Right. And we're going to first look at the claim and then go back and look at a few details in the footage. So with anything in life, you've got choices. Right? You can either question something or accept it. We need to understand that no one deceives you for your benefit. So by using simple things, a light and a ball, we can demonstrate the problems with what they are saying. We need to question it, otherwise it's going to lead to our slavery. Right? We need to question these things, otherwise if we don't, and they're lying to us, it will end up in our slavery. So Will Duffy says this, so pay attention.
Accurate. The moon can stay above the horizon for up to 2 weeks at a time in Antarctica.
Right. It stays up for 2 weeks in Antarctica, right? Well, it would do this the whole year round. So you should be able to see the moon for the 2 weeks in the night and in the day in the same moon phase. If what they're saying is true, it's the only place in the world where this happens. So the claim that he makes here exposes the lie. So let's assume, right, that for a new moon, that the Earth's shadow didn't block out the moon, which it would do, but let's just say it didn't, and you could see a full moon, and you were at the South Pole. How long would you see the moon for? Well, for the 2 weeks, but for 2 weeks every month. So if you're at the South Pole, you have to see the moon because you're orbiting and you're facing the moon, right, for those 2 weeks. But what about the other months? Well, as the Earth orbits around the sun, you would still see the moon above the horizon for 2 weeks. In this phase and in this phase. Right? So you should be able to, at this point when the moon is in that phase and you're at the South Pole, look at the shadow on the Earth. Do you see the problem?
Accurate. The moon can stay above the horizon for up to 2 weeks at a time in Antarctica.
So that would be 2 weeks every month, just to highlight it. Because you are orbiting, and as the Earth orbits the sun and the moon orbits the Earth, you should be able to take a picture like this. The moon in that phase with the shadow on the Earth on that side. 6 months later, the exact opposite. So why would this Powell character, who's a liar, not do this? Remember, you can take this video of the moon above the horizon for 2 weeks every month, because the Earth must be at the same angle constantly all year round if you are claiming that you can see a full moon as they are claiming. So they're tripping over their own bullshit. So do you see the problem? You would just take this picture here. 6 months later, and you'd be doing time lapses like this constantly. So Andy Powell is giving you bananas. Just listen to their claim and think about what they're saying. And it'll become evident that they're talking nonsense. Apply the information that is given to you, apply it in a practical way. And most people don't do that. But you need to do that. So, right, if you're in the South Pole, it's a full moon, that's where the light must be on the ball Earth. Will the person in the north then be able to see the full moon? Well, no, it's always below the horizon for him. It's not possible for him. So, do people in the northern hemisphere see the moon in different phases? Yes. But if what they're saying, what Will Duffy is saying, it wouldn't be possible. Remember, that's the tilt of the earth, and that's their claim. If you on the north side, could you see the full moon in the northern hemisphere? Because remember, it's the axial tilt of the earth that's allowing him to get a 24-hour shot of the moon. And the answer is no. Right, so I don't care how many bananas they give to Anthony Powell. Right. It's just cheap bananas. It's garbage. So we're going to prove it in some other ways. This is just a start. So we've dealt with one aspect. Right. Now we're going to look at some other aspects that's clearly going to demonstrate that they're lying to you. So the information about the moon must also apply to the sun. It's the same. But we're going to focus on the moon. So you need to question these things. And by using simple things, light and how shadows work on a ball, you can see that the heliocentric model is a lie. And remember, no one deceives you for your benefit. And over the many years, over these last 250 years, certain individuals have stood up and have been trying to warn us and tell us, listen, where humanity is heading, it's not good. More people are waking up now and are listening because they recognize the fact that it's your freedom that's at stake. No one puts chains around your neck because they're making you free. It's the opposite. Right? And there are certain individuals like this guy who has just no concept of the deep, deep shit that he's in and what is coming because they've already put him in a cage. Right, so let's look at the actual footage and we're going to analyze it from a different aspect. Here's the footage from Anthony Powell. Right. Look at his camera. His camera is at 90 degrees to the horizon. So why is this a problem? I'm going to show you that this is a serious problem and proves that he's not on a spinning ball and that it's impossible for him to film the moon like that. Look, I'm an artist and I'm also a cameraman. I know that if my camera is 90 degrees to the horizon, it's impossible for me to be standing on a spinning ball. It's just a simple thing. If you can understand this, you'll know that the earth is not a ball. Ignoring even the reflections and the light that indicate that you're not on a ball. His camera must be 90 degrees to the horizon. So, he sets his tripod up 90 degrees to the horizon. That means if the Earth's rotating, that must be his angle of rotation. Because his tripod and he himself is 90 degrees to that angle of that rotation. So for him to see the moon, he has to angle his camera down so he can see the moon. Then as the Earth rotates, he has to change the X and Y and Z axis so that he can keep the moon in his line of sight constantly for each 360 rotation of that Earth. You can't just plop your camera out there and walk away and come back and say, look, I got a time lapse. You can't just put your camera out there and your camera is 90 degrees to the horizon, walk away and film the moon going around you. It's not possible on a ball Earth. So what must happen if you had to keep the moon center of your shot? The horizon, would have to be swinging around because you're keeping the ball, the moon, center of your shot. Because in effect, this is what's happening when you're filming the moon. That's what's supposed to be happening with Anthony Powell. So if I lock a camera down onto Anthony Powell, you'll understand the motion and the landmass must be swinging around him like this. So it's impossible for him to set up his camera at 90 degrees to the horizon and this not happen. So Anthony Powell, a dumbass liar. So where's the moon? It's dead center of his shot. This is not possible if you're on a spinning ball. It's not possible. So let's say you lock the camera down to the horizon. Then what must happen? This must happen in your footage. And in Anthony Powell's footage, the horizon is locked down to his camera. This is what his footage should show. This is what his footage should reveal. Because his camera is locked on the horizon. So, Anthony Powell, a dumbass liar. The world is full of them, right? Their globe proof is just bananas for monkeys. So, in his footage, what is that I've ringed in red? Now, to me, so if I use 3D apps that do motion tracking, you could set out a node and use that node and attach things to that node, like a light. But what's the node still doing there? It can't be a star, because the star can't lift up that way and the moon follow the star, because it's a time lapse. So Anthony Powell's giving you bananas. So what does this information help you understand? So stand back and look at the bigger picture. The heliocentric model, it's just part of a plan. So why is this heliocentric model so important to these people? That you believe it and you trust in it. And remember, people who love you and care about you will not lie to you. It must be love, love, love. If you question their garbage and you can see they're lying, no one deceives you for your benefit as because they want to take advantage of you. They don't care about you. They have no regard for you or your life. It must be love, love, love. Right. They have no regard for you or your life. So in the education system, right, Baba, black sheep, have you any wool? Of course he's got wool because he's a sheep. Yes, master, yes, master, yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for you, master, and 1 for the dame and the little boy who lives down the lane. So How many bags did Baba Black Sheep get? Sweet, zero, nothing. They took it from him. It was his wool. Because that's how slavery works. Understand, that's exactly how slavery works. They want you dumbed down, passive, and not asking questions. Because you've got a big chain around your neck. It must be love, love, love. Do you think these people care about you? You think if the chain is silver or gold, that's because they love you? No. It's not a gift, because that's how slavery works. Why do you think it's a chain? And if you're really cheap, it must be love, love, love. And your master can't afford a chain, a metal chain, let him put a noose around your neck because he loves you. Same thing. Right. So what's the difference? I don't see any difference. It's the same thing. It's sad. So unless the person on the right wakes up, takes those chains off, and starts to reason and think and stop being a puppet, then he's got a hope of being free. So remember, there are many individuals, honest-hearted people who've stood up in the past and who've been trying to warn us. Most people don't listen. It's sad, but they don't listen. Until the shit hits the fan and they're in trouble, then they want to listen. It must be love, love, love. So, something else is going on here, right? Who's the king that wants to crown himself as king? Got to feed you bananas until you're happy with the bananas, and then they can put the crown on their head. So, let's look at what's going on in the world around us. They want to sell you a new world order. Right? This has to do with Helios, the sun god. That's why the heliocentric model is so important that you go along with it. So there was the old world order with Helios or Apollo, the sun god. That world order, that system, that age was destroyed. So all that's happened is Satan's system was destroyed. He was thrown into the abyss. Humanity was given 1,000 years where humans could just make their choices and live. Right. But on his release, there's been a surgence of secret societies to bring in a new world order. And part of that new world order is obviously the dumbing down and the education of humanity to accept their heliocentric bullshit with their sun god in the middle. Big deal. Right. So there's a lot of us who just not interested, refuse to bow down because we know they're lying. It's a scam. It must be love, love, love. Because they do not give a shit about you or me or any other human being. Let me ask you a question. Can you follow a leader and not be part of their battles? The answer is no. If a leader comes to you and is lying to you and is hiding who his boss is, their top secret is who's actually at the top, and you swallow that bullshit, does that free you from your situation? No. So if you read in Revelation, it says that after Satan is released from the abyss, he gathers the whole world and they go off to battle. So who would they go off and battle against? Well, that would be Almighty God and His Son, Jesus Christ. If you read and you believe in the Bible and believe what Revelation says. But it's just interesting that what Revelation says is playing out in front of our very eyes. So how does Satan get it right? Well, the Bible says in Revelation 20, he deceives them. So they follow him without understanding or seeing the bigger picture. So they are unwittingly a part of the battle. But it doesn't free them from the responsibilities that come with that battle. Look, let's illustrate it with the issue that arises in the movie The Last of the Mohicans. So you have the locals who join the British as a militia, right? They are made promises and so forth. Now, when their homes are being attacked, they want to leave and defend their homes. And so the British break their promise, and if anybody leaves, right, they're going to be court-martialed and to be shot as deserters. Right? And that's how it is in the system, in the kingdoms of the world. They cannot be trusted. It doesn't matter which one you go for, neither can be trusted. Revelation and the Bible helps us to understand that there's a kingdom in heaven called Jerusalem above. It's a heavenly Jerusalem. It's where God resides, his throne is there, and Jesus Christ rules as high priest and king with kings and priests. So after his death, he came down to earth, he took all of his disciples, he set up New Jerusalem more than 1,000 years ago, and a record is being kept of all the people on earth, those that show allegiance to him and those who reject him. So that on Judgment Day, everything will be revealed, who is what and who is where. So this fella, right, I feel a bit sorry for him, right? He's got no idea. He's in such deep shit that he hasn't got a clue what's coming. Completely bamboozled. Look, I hope he comes right. You never know. He might one day just stop and think and say, flip, they're lying to me. Why are they lying to me? So, Satan wants his kingdom back. They need a new world revolution and lots of dumbass followers. So, there are a lot of people applying, just going along with it. They want to get their new super duper new world order. But there's a lot of us who are just saying, look, buddy, not interested in your crap. Take your shit and go to hell because that's where you belong. Right? We're tired of it, tired of it, tired of it. Go to hell. Not interested. So, some walk into the classroom as humans. They need to get that stamp of approval. It's a stamp. They're stamping you, marking you. You don't need that stamp. You can get on with your life without that stamp. You don't need that stamp of approval from them. So, flat earthers know and understand that we're made in God's image. We remain in his image. He's our Heavenly Father. The earth is flat and it's stationary. And we are free. And our kingdom is in heaven, New Jerusalem. And one day, we will have total freedom from the garbage that's going on in the world today. And people like Will Duffy and that dumbass, what's his name? His name is not even worth remembering, that presented that footage from the South Pole. They won't be on earth lying and deceiving people. Because remember, if someone cares and loves you, they will not lie to you. Because love does not work that way. So look, I hope this has helped you to reason and think. And I hope it benefited you in some way. Cheers and thanks for watching.